You're recording. Well, welcome everyone to November Power Hour. I am Tessa outside in Indianapolis, Indiana, and joined by Megan out on the West Coast. And we're going to do two layouts, starting with mine and then switch to Megan for the second half of the hour. So we're going to flip down to my table. I'll see it all. Okay, you notice on the handout, I did do a one-page layout. Tonight, I'm going to do a two-page layout. But my goal with this layout was to get most of it out of one piece of paper. It's a pretty simple cut. You can choose
What would you do with that?
a border maker or a border punch. That's an edger, and we're going to cut. If you don't have something like that to use, you can just use a decorative plate or something. So tonight, I am going to use do a two-page layout. If you notice in the layout notes, we talked about what to do if maybe the double-sided paper you have doesn't work or both sides work. So I'm going to work on that. But first, I'm going to show, so the photos I'm going to work with tonight, a lot of you tuned in last month in October, right? Do you remember what Megan was, what topic she was scrapbooking? She was pulling out photos from our trip to Minneapolis. And we had gone on a walk together, and someone that was on the walk wasn't featured in her layout. We're not going to mention names. So
featured? Now you want featured? I have to feature you? I'm chopping you out of all the pictures.
So I thought, well, I should go ahead and start my book and start my layouts from that trip. But I'm going to show how much of a better friend I am and actually include a picture where she and I are together.
But to talk about friendship, you should tell them about the picture there that's just to your left and how you even took that picture.
Yeah, we'll talk about the story this first. So when Megan and I were going to Creative Minds in June, we were going to the Creative Memories conference, and we were flying in about a few hours apart. And the goal was that I was going to wait for her. Well, if you've ever flown into Minneapolis, you already know that I didn't know that once you go out to get your baggage, there's nothing to do. There's no restaurants, there's no food, nothing. It's all on the other side, on the outside. And so I could either leave my bag out there for 3 hours and risk it getting lost, or I could go out and get it. So I went out and got my bag and thought, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and wait for her for 3 hours. She can get her own Uber. She's a big girl. She can figure out how to download the app. And so I left her to deal with that on her own. So this is me. This is my selfie in the car, posting to the world that I left Megan behind at the airport. And then we did go to dinner that night. I took a picture of my food. So I remember the event, but I think we were too distracted by everything going on the street around us. We didn't actually take a picture of us at the first night of dinner. So the pictures that I have here are as from that walk that she featured last time. She showed pictures of the Flower Mill Museum that we went to. And these were from the walk to get there is what I'm going to use. So you can see there we are together. We've seen each other now about 4 times, I think 5 times. Maybe. That's what I'm going to work on tonight. Those are my photos. And also, like Megan, I did like the time-worn papers that she used. They come to mind because they have some of the rusty colors. I liked this one, but for my layout, the back side is also very dark. And so it's one of those papers that ideally, probably the two sides don't work well together. If you've ever done like the fold page or some of the other stuff, you know, sometimes the two sides don't quite coordinate. And so my suggestion on the handout is if that happens to you, then to just go ahead and choose a paper that does work. And then if the other sides work also together, then you can actually get 4 pages done at the same time. And so that's what I'm going to do, is that by doing the same cut to get the pieces to coordinate for the layout, I can actually do a whole nother set. And because they came out of the same paper pack, they're similar style, and so I can continue on, because I assure you I have more than 2 pages of our trip to scrapbook. So that is what I'm doing. I'm going to start with my 12-inch trimmer. Yes, all of the tools you'll see us use are from Creative Memories, and the 13 by 13 mat and the 12-inch trimmer. The cut guide is here on the layout. We're going to cut a 3-inch strip, and then we're going to cut 3 9 by 4 pieces. if you do have a direction to your paper, I don't have a direction that matters. You'll want to cut it so that the long strips, the 9x4s horizontal, hold your print the way that you want it to be on your page. The 3-inch, and then I'm going to turn it and do 4 inches times 3. And I'm going to do this with both pieces of paper, and I'm actually going to do it with the other set of papers too. With our trimmer, you can cut more than one sheet at a time. It's not something I usually do because if I mess up, I've screwed up 2 papers. Meg and I love to give each other a hard time, but we do like each other well enough to go on vacation together. Should we tell them where we're going, Megan? Right, we started talking during COVID that we should go somewhere, but with COVID, we didn't think we wanted to really go anywhere. And I told her we could use my timeshare. And so
She asked me, she's like, hey, do you want to go to Australia, or maybe you want to go to England or Europe somewhere? I was like, well, for how long are we going to be gone? She's like, 5 days. I was like, I think that's a little far for just 5 days. So then we had to like negotiate time zones because of distance to fly. Yeah. So we're going to, what is it, Puerto Vallarta?
We're going to Mexico.
We're going to Mexico. And I told her that Puerto Vallarta is great because I want to go to a tequila plantation. Tequila plantation. That's what I want.
Power Hour next summer, you'll see the tequila plantation layouts coming. Okay, so with
Tessa won't be in any of the pictures.
I will not be. Okay, so once we have our 3-inch strips, then we're going to grab our border maker or your border punch, and we're going to punch the edge of whatever design you choose. I chose Sunshine Arches, which is actually a current border maker. I really like the design of this one, and it fits in well with some of the bridge pictures and some of the iron pictures. So I think it's going to look great. So I'm going to punch the edge of all 4 of my strips. I would have gone longer on the trip if we went to Australia. I thought Australia would be fun because we could find some of our scrappy friends to hang out with, or at least show us what to go see. But it's fine. I'll go some other time. It would be fun to do a Facebook Live while we're there. I've actually never been to Mexico.
How many of those do you need to punch?
If they're using the same paper, then they'll just have 2. But I'm going to end up with a double layout, so I have 4.
You punched. Okay, I guess I have to look at your handout again. I thought you only punched 1 time
per sheet. My handout is a 1-page layout, so you're going to punch 1 per page of your layout. So if you're doing a 2-page layout, you would have 2. And if you're going to do what I'm doing, you're going to have 4.
Okay.
Some people will punch more than 1. Again, I'm not that confident of a person. I'm afraid that I will slip or whatever, but I know that people do sometimes. But some of these punches are very prone to jamming. Some of the designs are, you can barely do 1 sheet of paper. So I don't recommend punching more than 1 at a time. Some of the thicker will get stuck in there. And some of the designs that are a little bit more intricate, and when you pull out, they get stuck easily. It can be a little more complex. So you should have one of these for each page that you're going to be putting together. And I'm going to pull back my trimmer, and I just want to punch. So we're going to end up layering, but I want to cut off enough to layer. So about a 1 inch. Usually about a 1 inch will give you a little edge that you can overlap to at here. So this is Sunshine Arches on my handout. What I used is listed under the collection shown, and it was an old punch called Zigzag Diamonds. We have some nice border punches that I think would have worked well for my layout right now. I think Mandela first. Diamond arches. So the last paper choice, if you haven't chosen it already, is what paper that you want to use for to cover the gap. So on my demo layout, I use this print that kind of stood out. It's just a thin enough strip that I could layer. So it is about 1 3/4 of an inch. Now I had a little bit of a dilemma because in Time Worn, there's not really any statement prints. A lot of them look like this. So I pulled out two options. This one came out of Memoirs and Memories, and this one came out of the Time Worn 2. And I need a print that's kind of going to be able to like pull these two together. So of my patterns, I'm going to have these two, these two. And I think I'm actually going to cut two different strips. I'm going to use this one for that page and this one for this page. And so I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches. If you subbed in a border punch and you ended up punching this wider than 1 inch, you might need to adjust your strip. You basically just need enough to layer in between. So if you're not confident, you can always wait to cut this when you've started piecing together your layout. Now I have all these pieces. Obviously, we need something to build them on. For my demo layout, I built it on a sheet that come in the paper pack. So all of our paper packs right now come with that thin piece of cover sheet that actually works really well to build a base on if you need to. I don't think I have ever used white pages on here, but this book actually is going to be pages, not top loading. And so I just pulled out some white pages to build my layouts on. This feels very old school, the way we used to scrapbook all of the pages. Even when I did pages, I was definitely a Spargo girl, not a white girl. You can decide how you want. We're going to flip, we're going to alternate. Actually, I'm going to need two of those strips, but I'll make sure they're right first. Okay, so this. So this is the gap that you're going to be covering with whatever strip you just cut. So if it's too wide, you're just going to come over onto this part of the layout, which is completely fine unless you want to make room for how your photos sit on it. On my demo layout, I did not have, I was doing 4x4, so you can see there's not a lot of room. So I don't know that you're going to layer too much this way, or your photos will be on top of it, which is obviously completely fine if you do. My 1 3/4 is going to work for my layout. So you're confident of how you want it. So the other alternative would be I could flip the way these sit, but I do like the darker on the outside. And then I'm going to start adhering my pieces down. I don't prefer top loading per se, except that especially because of the classes and doing this as I do it now, I scrapbook out of order. I used to be religious about scrapbooking in order, so it was fine that I worked in books, and I actually liked doing it on the page because I could use scraps, or I didn't have to cover everything. And we'll see. I haven't made a family book in a couple years. We'll see if I get them all printed, I might still do pages because it'll be chronological, but for the kids' books, which is what you usually see me working on, I scrapbook out of order. So top loading released me from that requirement to know what side of the page is going to go on. So how many of you are old school and still scrapbook directly? We should start setting up our own power hour poll question. I know Megan's paying attention. It would be kind of fun. For those of you just watching us, you could have something to respond to. A few of you do. Good. It would be, I'd have to go back and look in my books and see, but I'm pretty sure I switched to Spargo pretty much as soon as it came out. And Spargo came out in the old size. Anybody remember what year Spargo was introduced? I mean, I started using stuff in 02. I guess it would be probably like 04 or 05, but I would have to go look through catalogs. Fargo is kind of a cream colored, so this is white. We have natural, which is a little bit more of a tan, and Fargo is kind of a cream. And so I liked it because it's not as stark as white and not as dark as natural. And it seemed to go with everything. Creative Memories also has black pages, which I have used for specific projects. Border. There's the big one. So my gap here is about 1.5. 1 3/4 is adequate coverage. If I kept, I would adhere it about right there. And on this side, I just have 2 pictures because I'm going to have more journaling about my story about losing Meggan. And then this will be the first page of the book aside from the title page. So I'll probably do a big title down here, like Destination Minneapolis or something like that. And then journaling. So I have space here. So 1 3/4 works well. I need to cut one for the other side. My
Did you
photos
ch-
are 4x6. These are not cropped at all. And these are actually a batch of photos I printed from Creative Memories. I don't use their printing very much. But I did like their matte finish. They did turn out pretty well. I don't generally like to tie up my photo printing with my product orders, which is why I don't usually print them, but so I'll show you how these will sit before I switch over. So I was going to put the picture of Megan and I here at the top, front and center. And then down here I have, I have pictures of the first bridge that we went over, and 2 of them were vertical, but I wanted to use one spot for horizontal. And so I actually cut these down into 4x4, and I will cut 4x6 mats and adhere these just to cardstock and still use peekaboos so that they work within the concept of peekaboos. Because I'm using peekaboos, I always mat peekaboos. Because I'm doing 2 pages, because my front and back pages did not work very well, I ended up with 4 3x12 strips. So you're going to basically need 1 3x12 for each page that you're doing. On the handout at the cut guide at the bottom, is you'll need to do this for every page of your layout. So if it's a 1-page layout, you use 1. If it's 2-page, you'll use 2. And if you're doing 4 like me, then you'll have 4 pieces total. And then I have this photo over here that I will cut down to fit in this space over here next to the peekaboo. And then I have room for some journaling up here. So that's how this layout will look. And then let me show you how the second one lays out. I won't adhere it all. We'll let Megan have her time. I have these nice rusty colors. And it will actually have to go in the middle because I used 2 on the other page. So this layout works best if you're using 1 page, if your 2 sides have a lot of contrast. Mine did not, and I wasn't really willing to choose something different. And I have a choice. Actually, both sides of this would go. Actually, I might use this side because this kind of looks like flour a little bit. And these pictures will be from the flour mill. I'm going to have my borders. And I will have my strips, the dark strips, to add a little bit more contrast. And I will have 4 pages done, which is pretty impressive for me. So hopefully you're able to follow that. Any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. I can respond to you while Megan does hers. This paper was mostly Time Worn Textures, which is an old pack, and then a little bit of Memories and Moments on the first page. Both of them sold out. We don't like to tease you, but we also want you to find value in your stash. And this is why you buy all the paper packs, because you never know when one will work perfectly with what you have. Right, Megan?
Something like that.
There are a few paper packs I passed up, but not many of them. You just never know. The peekaboo pocket, I can show you that real quick. So for those of you unfamiliar with peekaboo, I have my little case from Creative Memories now. I have all my peekaboos in there. So we have 4x6 and 5x7. And we had some 4x4s once upon a time. So you will see some mini ones from time to time. They're not sold all the time, but the peekaboo pocket is open on one side and then it has this adhesive flap that folds. And so the premise is you can put 2 photos in back to back. And then you would adhere one to your layout. And then the peekaboo pocket adheres to the top of your protector. So I wouldn't be able to put this on yet, unless you're putting it on the very edge of your layout. I always use page protectors. So if I use peekaboos, they're going on top of the page protector. And so I will just go ahead and put these in the peekaboo and save it until I have the protector adhered. Then you will flap it open. So this will be on top of the page. When you turn your page, you open it and you would see the photo underneath also. I will mat some of my photos because I don't always mat, as you guys know, but when I use peekaboos, I always mat because I think it looks like it's a better base to the flapping. So I will work on my mats and peekaboo and then post it in the group for tomorrow so you guys can see how it looks. Okay, Megan, it's your turn. It was only 5 minutes over, which really was from the tech issues and talking.
All right, let me switch over here. All right, hello, I'm Megan Jacks out here in Washington, just north of Seattle. So I have a layout which it may honestly be my fastest one yet, right? So we'll see if it holds true. I always say that, and then of course something pops up and it ends up being more involved than I think it should be. But we'll go ahead. I'll switch over to my desktop so you guys can see here what I've got. So the layout here was all about getting photos on the page. So we've got a lot of room for photos, a mixture of mostly horizontal and then a few vertical across here. But it's all just about the striping technique here, the different bars of paper. And you can, of course, mix these bars up. You can use paper. You could use laser cut borders, stickers, whatever you want kind of here in the middle. I am going to show you using the front and back of paper. This green paper, the back side of it this is from Serene Waters. And the back side of it has what I call the goldfish, think of the little goldfish crackers. That pattern is on the back side of this tonal green paper. And then I use some paper to punch some borders with the kissing fish and kind of that darker green tonal paper from Serene Waters, and just put together this layout with those. It's mounted onto peacock cardstock. So with these kind of things in mind, what you're going to need is you want to have 2 base pages. So either cardstock, I use the peacock in my sample. For my layout that I'm going to do tonight, I actually have some photos. I guess I should show those to you so you guys can see what I'm working with. This is from when we moved my son over to college. I've already cropped my photos down. The sizes for my photos are listed right here in the layout. So I've cropped down my vertical photos, stay as 4x6s. My horizontal photos are all cropped. And then for the background, my son is going to Washington State University. Their school colors are crimson and gray. So I kind of wanted to use those colors. So I went and found this gray. It's kind of a gray tonal. It came out of the silver and gold shades of the season pack. So that was a great pack to go into to find some gold, some grays. So it's a little bit of this, it almost looks like if you had cardboard that was gray. So that's what I'm using here. That's my background. Now I needed something that I could do front and back. If I wanted just to use one sheet of paper, use both sides of that paper, I wanted something red. So I went into the seasonal sightings and found this red. It's got the red chevron on one side. The opposite side is a slightly darker version of red. So this is the one I'm going to be using both sides of. I'll be using this for my, to cut it down into the strips. if you need to, if you can't find a piece of paper that you're liking both sides, maybe that don't coordinate, or you can't find ones that coordinate with your photos, your theme, you can mix and match. I've given you the sizes of the strips that you need. So if you need to mix and match these strips, you have the sizes, you can cut them from any pieces of paper, any scraps of paper. I just am going to show you how to cut them all from just one sheet. And then I am going to need something to punch a border with, or border elements. You need a total of 4. We're going to use 2 12-inch borders per piece of paper, or per side of our layout. So with that in mind, you might want to use, punching some cardstock, punching tonal paper. You could do it where you use a set of border pairs at the top and a different set of border pairs at the bottom. I use the same punch, but you could mix and match your punches. So I show it with a chain style border maker cartridge. I use Kissing Fish. And the measurements are kind of set up for a chain style border maker cartridge. I tell you, you're going to cut a strip that's in 1 1/8 inch wide. And that's what you're going to mount your borders to. Depending on what you're using for a border, you might need to make that adjustment. And I'm going to tell you, I have to make my adjustment because I want to use animal tracks for my border. So I'm going to have to make a little bit of adjustment. I'm actually going to punch my borders first, so that when it comes time to making all these cuts, I know that my sizing here is fine, that 1 1/8 inch is going to be wide enough. If I have to make an adjustment, all these things can be adjusted. All right. So, and I'm going to punch this with the charcoal cardstock. Tessa, is everything looking okay? I'm getting a little bit of just some flashy at my end, and I'm not sure exactly why.
I haven't noticed it, but it looks slightly out of focus.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just going to keep.
Although other people are saying it looks okay. So
Okay, see, that's what's funny is my chat isn't even updating.
what is with this? I don't know. Most people are saying it looks fine.
Okay, that's good because I am not getting a chat update at all. So I cannot see chat as they're coming in. The last thing.
I can't see you now either.
Did I completely die out?
It's black.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, there you are. Okay, and now it looks in focus.
Yeah, now it looks a little bit fuzzy, but I've been seeing you the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll blame it on the tropical storm that's states away from both of us.
All right, I'm really sorry. I don't know why, and I don't know if it's okay.
I think you can just keep going.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. If like I said, the chat messages aren't coming in for me. So if you can tell me if something's not right.
Okay.
So the
They're
first thing
just
I
all
want to
saying they can see you, that they see your hands and it looks like it's in
okay,
focus.
perfect. All right. So what I need to do is I am going to cut 4 borders with the Animal Tracks border maker cartridge. So I'm going to be punching 4 of these. And I am going to be using I'm actually going to get a little, I don't know, fancy with it. The Animal Tracks, it doesn't, it's an edge, or it's a knockout style, meaning it's not altering this edge at all. I'm actually going to come in with the decal blade, and I'm going to cut this edge after I've trimmed. One of the things I want to do here is I want to try to make this border a little bit narrower than it naturally would be. So I am going to punch both sides of this piece of paper. That'll just make it, when it's time to do the border, that I'm more efficient with my cutting. that I'm not having to. So I've punched both sides. Now I'm going to grab my trimmer. And I'm going to switch out to my decal blade. And I'm going to come in here and just on the very edge, I'm going to cut off and give it that decal edge. And I'm going to switch over to the other side and trim that, do the same thing. And then I'll go ahead and cut it away to make it. There we go. Now I'm going to trim this. I run it right around an inch. I prefer it just to be even a little bit less than an inch. But I think about an inch is what I need to be. Do the same thing over here on the opposite side, and then I'm going to have to cut 2 more of the same. So I need to do 2 more of these. One thing I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and reestablish a straight edge. It's just going to make it easier when I have to trim it down narrower for my border. All right, now I'm going to punch 2 more of the animal tracks borders.
So does everything cut and punch better with blue?
My cartridge holder on my white and blue one was getting a little fussy. It was not wanting to, the cartridges weren't necessarily clicking into place. I was really having to like kind of slam them in there to get this notch to catch them. So this new one, it just pops in and out so much easier for me. So I've just been defaulting to using that. As for the trimmer, I don't know. I mean, I bought it, so I'm going to use it.
Looks very fancy on camera.
I may have also, I think I neglected to keep up on my ordering of replacement mats. So it had a fresh mat in it. So it was easy to just switch over to it. So once again, I'm going to come in, reestablish that decal edge.
And you need 4 borders because you're doing 2 for each side of the layout.
Yep. Yes. You will need 4 total borders so that you can do 2 on each side. They don't have to all 4 be the same. You can mix and match them if you want. I'm doing all 4 of mine the same, but you could definitely, you know, grab your stash of borders. Maybe you're going to use stickers or laser cut borders. All right. So I've got my 4 borders. That's really what I wanted to get. Now that I have my borders, I'm actually going to grab my ruler and I want to just take a peek. Remember, if you have a chain style, if you've used a border maker cartridge, the 1 1/8 inch is probably going to be just fine if you've got a chain style. Like here is mirrored triangles. If I'd used mirrored triangles, the 1 1/8 would be perfect. I wouldn't have to do any additional measurements. What I want to do here though, is I'm actually just going to come in here and kind of look and see the 1 1/8 inch is pretty good. I think it would probably show enough of the red. I might switch mine out and punt. And when we're making these trims, cutting these strips, I might make my 1/8 inch a little bit bigger like maybe closer to 3/16, not quite that 1 1/4. When we cut this, what I'm actually going to have you guys do is we're going to cut the 1/2 inches first, and then we cut the 1 1/8, and then we leave the middle just as it is. We don't cut anything in the middle because that's where we have the flexibility of, we didn't really care how wide that is. The ones I care about are the 1/2 inch, the 1 1/8, and then we leave the middle to fall where it is. So it'll make sense as we cut it. All right. So now it's time to cut the paper. We're cutting the paper that we want to use for our strips. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. Now my paper, one side has a direction to it. So I want my paper, my strips, I want to show this striping. So I want to make sure when I cut that I've got it rotated 90 degrees. The first cut we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and just cut the paper in half. I'm going to raise my camera up just a smidge. We're going to cut it in half at 6 inches. And I forgot to take out my blade to do a little bit of cleanup here. That's okay. I forgot I had to clean up my edges. I did not switch out to my straight blade. My spotter didn't catch me.
No, I didn't catch that.
And I'm trying to just shave off a little bit, and I'm going to have to just go ahead and commit to a larger cut. There we go. I have reestablished straight edges. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of paper that are roughly 6 inches. See, Carol's on there, and she's like, oh, change your blade. And I messed that up.
Some people are saying
So-
you're frozen, but you look fine to me. So I think you should keep going.
Okay, well, I'm just hoping it doesn't mess up the recording. So we've got our 2 6-inch pieces. I'm going to go ahead and set one of those 6-inch pieces aside. Now what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut some 1/2 inch strips. I'm going to cut 2 of these 1/2 inch strips. There's one, and I'll cut a second one. How's it looking for you, Tessa?
It's fine. And some people it's fine. So just keep going.
Okay. So I cut 2 1/2 inch strips. Now I need to cut those 1 1/8 inch pieces that are going to be for my border strips. So you imagine you can lay your border on there if you want, and you can move it over and see, does that 1 1/8 inch work or does it not? I'm actually going to push this out to closer to 1 1/4 inch because I've got a chunkier border. And I'll make 2 cuts. So whatever you cut at, you want to make 2 of those. And then whatever's left here in the middle is fine. Now I'm going to repeat those same cuts on my second 6-inch piece. So I'm going to start off with 2 1/2 inch strips. Now I'm going to do for you, it might be 1 1/8 inch. I'm coming out a little bit closer to 1 1/4. And I'll do that twice. And then I have the big chunky piece. All right, so that is all of the cutting. So now it comes time for assembly. Get my mats back into place. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the left page first. So the left page, we're going to go ahead and I need to adhere my borders, put my borders together. So we'll do that. I've got my repositionable adhesive. I'm going to put that down I want to mount my strips here to the darker pieces, the darker side. So there's one. We'll get this next one adhered. And those will go in there. Top piece comes up, then we have the middle, and then we have the bottom. So now it's just a matter of getting these put into place. And I do give you some measurements to kind of start with. I say having this middle piece, we're going to put it in place first. And the bottom edge of this piece, this large piece, we want it to be at 5.5 inches. So over here on the right side of my cutting mat is 0 is up here at the top, and we come down to 5.5 inches. And you want to make sure everything is lined up on your trimming mat, your background paper. And I'm going to go ahead and put in that piece at 5.5 inches from the bottom, or from the top, excuse me. The bottom edge is lined up at 5.5 inches. Now here you might want to have a ruler out. You can also, of course, use your cutting mat. I want to have 1 3/4 inch spacing between the bottom edge of this middle piece to the top of this bottom piece. So I can use my mat. So I can come down 1 inch, there's a 1/2, and here's a 1/4. So that has me down, I'm at 7 1/4 inch from the top of the page. Make sure you have everything lined up. You need to use repositionable adhesive. Get that lined up there. And then we'll do it 1 3/4 inch from the top. Now here, what you might find, depending the height of your paper, this width here might be something strange. Mine, because I did not cut these at a regular width, is going to be a little bit wonky. So I'm going to take the top edge here, and I'm actually just going to move it down, move my paper so that it lines up with a measurement that I can easily see. So I'm bringing it down so the top edge of my paper is at the top edge of this middle section is at 3. That way, it's much easier for me to find that 1 3/4 inch up the side. So I'm going to go from 3 up to 2, and then go up 3/4 inch. And I feel like I'm really far down my paper for some reason. Hold on just a second. Oh, okay. Part of the reason, okay, I see what it is, because my middle piece is so thin compared to other ones, it kind of just shifted everything down from the top a little bit. So that's where my adjustment is, because I'm almost 1/4 of an inch shorter here. So it just kind of pulled everything down a little bit. That's okay. That's fine. It's all about making those adjustments. I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in a photo here. I'll be good. I'm going to go ahead and make an adjustment. I'm going to move things up a little bit. If you use them, if your measurements are on with my measurements here, you're going to be just fine. I'm going to move my stuff up just because I don't want to be too far down. And my pictures all just fell to the floor. This takes me back, Tessa, to when we first started doing Power Hour, and the first round was always a bit of a, interesting
Yeah, but
time.
I'm not redoing this at 10 o'clock.
No, I'm not either. So this is we're going to make it work.
You know what, maybe we could, it was last night, but we could blame it on like the lunar eclipse. Maybe it has
Yeah, we
something to do with the
can.
moon.
It's a bit of a crazy day. That's how it is sometimes. Just trying to make this make sense.
That's why those 13 by 13 mats are so nice. The base page doesn't shift very easily because it's not too slick. And then you have the measurements on both sides, so you can line things up straight across.
Yep.
People
And
ask
then
for a wider mat, but I would hate to lose the measurements on each side.
I don't want to lose the measurements in the middle. That's the big on the inside. It's just easier to merge the two together.
Oh my gosh, where'd she go? Did we lose Megan completely? Oh my, I think we lost her completely. What is going on, you guys? Hold on, she'll log back in. You just gotta look at me for a minute. Yeah, this is just so strange. I don't even know what to guess. I'm pretty sure she's just using her phone. Unless she lost power or something. Let's give her a second to come back on. How are you guys coming along your layouts?
Do you think she realizes that we lost her, or she keep talking and scrapbooking and doesn't realize
She's
that-
probably going, you know what? Yeah. Let me pull down my phone. Let me I'm gonna straight up call her. I'm gonna take my phone off of Zoom. Hold on.
How's your room organization going?
You know what? It's coming along. It's one of those things that's hard. I've been sorting through piles of stuff, which is, do you guys have piles of stuff? I have piles of stuff where I know the bottom of it started during COVID. And so
Did you lose me there completely?
Yeah, I was just about to literally call you because we thought maybe you'd be scrapbooking and not know. Okay, there she is. Okay, she's
I'll
back.
always come back, guys.
We didn't know if you would know you were gone.
It totally shut down on my end. like, I mean, it just completely closed, and I happen to keep it out of the peripheral of my eyes. So hopefully you guys have just been toitering along and, just keep on keeping on. I'm just applying strips of paper, nothing. It's just not, Zoom just not cooperating today. I'm gonna blame it on Zoom.
Yeah, I don't think anything in our setups now would be, we should still be recording. Yeah, we're still recording. So for all of you watching the recording, it's been a great night. You could use the T-square ruler also on this type of layout.
We could, and I'm just kind of trying to hustle through here and get it done. So I'm doing a little bit of eyeballing. I may have to check it later to see if I'm completely wacky with my eyeballs. So one thing nice about the overhead is I can check and see on that. And one last piece here. Lining it up a little bit just on this side because my pieces are just a little bit different sizes. It's not bad. Okay, so there we go. That is how it looks here. All right, so now next is going to be applying photos. And I am not going to be matting any of these photos. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going lazy, and we're going to ignore that my son, sorry, he's flipping me the bird here. He was not impressed with taking all the photos. But a mama's got to do what a mama's got to do. So I thought it was funny. And just pictures of him in his dorm. So we're just going to put these photos down. They are all of the photos he started as 4x6. I just chopped off 3/4 of an inch, or excuse me, 1/4 of an inch all the way around. The video of this, you'll find it actually on our YouTube channel. We will probably later tonight. I try to get them up in the evening after we're done here. As long as there's no major snafus with Zoom getting the recording processed. So, I'll have it uploaded to the YouTube channel. So if you have not already subscribed to the Meggan and Tessa YouTube channel, you could definitely do so. And you'll get notification, I believe, when we get those published or put on the website.
Where we lost her again. That is so weird. If you're still watching, we appreciate you hanging in there with us. Yeah, she thought it was gonna be easy. It probably is one of her easier layouts, but the night is not going smoothly. I don't know. You guys know it's not, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I have no idea. I think I know what my issues are. I think my computer memory doesn't like being on Zoom, and the program I'm using I was pulling in the stream from. So if you guys have been waiting on my Fast to Fab video, I know some of you have. That's why I think I'm gonna have to move to my laptop. And I don't know what Megan's doing this every week the same way when she does her lives on Wednesday and all that. She's streaming the same way. So I don't know why she's having issues.
I know when I went to log into Zoom, it kept circling and circling, and I really had trouble logging in. So maybe it is a Zoom issue.
Yeah, it might be. I know they had power outages last week, and we did too, actually, with the wind on Saturday. Not my house, but I was at a scrapbooking event and they lost power. They kept working away. They had enough lights coming through the windows. You cannot stop the scrapbookers as long as you can see a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just talk about room again. So I've been going through the piles of organization, and then I've been starting to build the cubes behind me from Michael's. They are bigger and I really like them. And so I built these to test out what they would fit. Like the binders are sitting in there. I have my project folders. I don't think you can see the bottom of it, but the large power sort fit in there. The iris containers fit in there. So I have stacks of them here to do. And then I've been choosing, I don't know about you guys, I like to have lots of little things to put stuff in. And I decided I had to kind of streamline and clean up some of that so that as much as I love little bags and containers and dishes, I had to clean up some of it and have less of those things I didn't need. I'm a big hoarder because I tend to keep a lot of the stuff that I get through buyouts. You guys know I run the resale. And so if it's used or I won't resell tape anymore, some of that stuff I just put it in my stash. And so I tend to have a little bit more of that probably than some of you, but I've been cleaning it up. But yeah, I've been taking some pictures as I go too, so I can share the process. My son said he would help me put all the stuff together over Thanksgiving. I do have the steam and storage. That's one dilemma I have because I have the border maker holders and I love them, and I have to decide how that's going to work. Because my goal is that currently they sit on the table I scrapbook. But the table I scrapbook on is what I want to use for the Zoom like this. And so I need the one side open for the camera to look at me. And so I won't be able to have the holders sitting in front of me anymore. I have one spot. I actually might, depending on what I put on this wall behind me, I could maybe put them hanging up there on the wall with the table underneath. Because the what I'm facing right now are windows, so I can't use this side wall for anything. So that's one thing I do have to figure out. If she does not come back, of course, she will post her layout. If you do get your layouts done, don't forget to hashtag them November 22. You might have to give away 2 prizes. So the black thing you see is the plastic iris holder. So I've had that first. I got it from Amazon. You can buy it with the 6 iris containers. So that's 2 of them stacked together. I think here she comes. Someone says she's coming back. I think I'm actually going to end up getting rid of that and using all of the white pods, and maybe we'll see if I can have everything on one wall. That's my goal.
What part, where did I die out? Because
A
I don't
while
know.
ago, we've been waiting.
It's not even like even my messenger isn't updating from you. So I'm so sorry, guys.
If other people are saying they've had more trouble with Zoom tonight than normal, so it may be more of a Zoom problem because you're not doing anything different than you do every week, right?
No, I mean, I'm using the OBS insert instead of just going, let me see. I tried that OBS stuff and maybe that was messing with things. I was starting to put the pictures down. Okay, guys, so let me just real quick switch over to show you. Let me real quick. Here's my photos, guys. So you can see there my layout. It's all set to go. Got my photos on there. I'm gonna have a title over here, WSU, and it's gonna have the letters underneath say bound. So I'll get it all photographed. It'll be share it with you tomorrow. So I'm gonna, before I completely just lose my mind, I will definitely just turn it back over to Tessa to close things out tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
My husband went and got me some new beverages today, so I might crack one of those open after this.
Well, yeah. I already said we already talked about the hashtag even. We've been going through my craft room and all of that. You guys can have a drink for so.
Yes, everybody drink for me. You might need it if you turn on the TV. Anyway.
It might kill the product. You might not be able to put your borders on straight anymore on Meggan's layout. So you might want to finish Meggan's layout before you crack that open. But yeah, do the hashtag. If you want to see if we can do better, we're going to try again next Tuesday because that's seasonal sightings, and surely we can. I don't know. The problem is we don't think we have problems before we start. We'll figure it out. So Tuesday is seasonal sightings if you want to do Christmas layouts with us. And then we will have December Power Hour. And then we are working on getting our Winter Frolic launched, the Winter Challenge, because it will be here before we know it. And so post your layouts and ideas group, hashtag, we'll draw 2 prizes. We'll do 2 this time since with us. So what is our December date, Megan?
We always give them about a week. Let's give them till the 16th this time though, because we're gonna
She's
be.
not even listening. No, I said, when is December Power Hour?
Oh,
It's the second Tuesday, whatever that is.
the 13th.
December 13th is
I
December
was
Power Hour.
listening to you. You asked for a date, so I gave you a date. Just because I didn't give you the right date doesn't mean I wasn't listening.
You're right. You have a week, but you're right. I didn't even tell them what the deadline was to post. So you have until next Tuesday, which will be the 15th, and then I will draw on Wednesday. Registration is not open yet for Winter Frolic. We're not that organized yet. We're still working on some of those details. So we will, of course, email it out when it launches. And then back to the organization, because now I have to tie up some of the questions. Yes, that's one thing I love about the Michaels cubes is the iris containers fit in there. The large power swords fit in there. The binder stands up in it. The albums fit in it. So I just love the versatility of the larger cubes now. And they have more heavy duty than I expected. I've heard, when you look at the reviews online, some people are complaining about how like they're kind of flimsy. They're heavy. The boxes are heavy, and I think they give you enough hardware to keep it all together. I think it will help that there's a lot holding each other together. So I will be working on that. And I do love my Kallax, though. I don't think they're sturdier than the Kallax, but the versatility wins for me. I think if the Kallax works for you, I do live by IKEA. I have a lot of that. You guys have seen that. I do think that they are sturdier in general because they're not cubes built together. That's the thing with the Michaels is you're having to build it together. There's not as much sturdiness in the structure overall. So, okay. Well, if you have any questions or anything, post them in the group. Thank you for bearing with us. A lot of times it's hour 15 minutes. We can blame Megan for her long layout, and this is what she gets for saying that she's easy.
I jinxed myself, that's for sure.
Jinx herself. All right, we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.